The Cam Coleman hype train is not slowing down anytime soon.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the book, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. Happy Friday. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, putting a bow on the week. Been hyping up SEC Media Days all week. Our guys get on the stage, and we're going to break down a lot of what they talked about and kind of glean some information and stuff like that that'll go into the season. I'm your host, Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. But before we get started, we got to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. I know he was fired up with a lot of the comments and questions answered yesterday, ready to see these Auburn Tigers. But you need to check out Ford Stokes. You need to give him a shout and make sure your retirement is in order. Make sure you're on the right path. You can go to retirementresults.com/plan and get a free portfolio analysis. Just make sure. Why not? Why not have another look? Have another look. Make sure that what you're doing is going to get you where you need to be. And he can do it, no obligation, no cost, multiple different ways that he can analyze and make sure that you're on the right path. And then you can make a great friend at the same time. So check him out, Ford Stokes at Active Wealth Management and retirementresults.com. All right. So yesterday, obviously, the guys get up on stage representing Auburn. Auburn finally gets their chance to sort of be in the spotlight. Had to wait to the last day, but I think we gleaned a lot of information. I've been using that word a lot. I get hung up on a word sometimes. I get hung up on gleaned, and I just say it over and over again. We got a lot of information. We gathered a lot of information from yesterday, and the all four guys that got up there asked some great questions. Some were a little bit weird. Some took a long time to get there. I think one question asked to Hugh Freeze took about 45 seconds to get to it. But the one of the themes that I took from it is Cam Coleman is who we think he's going to be, at least before. From camp to workouts to now, Cam Coleman, the hype train, it has left the station. It's not slowing down, and the way the guys talked about him said a lot about the confidence that you can have that this kid's legit. This kid's for real. He's here for business. He's here to not play games, and that was sort of the common theme. I think Hugh Freeze, bless his heart, he tried his best to say all the positive things about Cam, because everybody's going to be asked about Cam, because he was like a top 5 player, top 6 player in the country, comes in with a lot of hype, has a huge spring game, makes 2 unbelievable catches, and just really shines. Scored one of the only touchdowns of the 8A game, and it was pretty sick, a pretty sick catch and score. But yeah, so the hype was building, and Freeze, he said, he's one of the, I've coached some great receivers. He is young. We need to, give him some time, watch the expectations, tamper expectations. Don't put too much on him right now. But you can't say all that, Hugh, and then say that of all the wide receivers you've coached, Laquan Treadwell, DK Metcalf, all these guys, you can't say, if you don't want the hype train to go crazy, you can't say that Cam Coleman's ahead of where they were as a freshman. Okay. You got to pick one or the other, bro. You can't just be like, hey, let's just chill. I get it. I get that part of it. Don't put the expectations on him yet, because then he's out there thinking, I got to go for 100 yards every game. I got to score 5 touchdowns every single game. I get that. He probably can, but you don't want him to think he has to do that, because then he's pressing. Then he's going to be trying to do stuff he maybe doesn't need to be doing. To maybe be a little bit more like demanding, get me the ball. I get all that, but then you can't just say, you can't go right after it, like calm it down to turn the heat right back up. No, I love that he's confident in this kid. And all the guys are confident in him. What's crazy to me, this was the most of the whole day. The whole day, this thing jumped out at me the most. All three of them said one of the same had a same theme when it comes to Cam Coleman. You hear stereotypes when you have 5-star wide receivers, big time wide receivers. What are they? He's a diva. He's a problem. He's got a big personality. He wants the ball. They're selfish. That's the things you hear when you think about these big time big numbers wide receivers. That's typically what you hear about them. But every single one of them, uh, the theme was Cam Coleman is he's here for business. He's one of the first players in for film study, for workouts, and he's one of the last players to leave as a true freshman. You don't hear that. You just don't hear that from a true freshman wide receiver. A lot of times you're trying to just make sure these kids stay eligible. You're trying to make sure these kids stay out of trouble. Cam Coleman is here for business. Cam Coleman is here. This is the next step to the NFL. And he understands that from the time he leaves high school, this is a pathway to the NFL. And he's here to maximize that. He's here to maximize every opportunity he can get to take advantage of this time to build his brand, build who he is to become, one of the top NFL draft pick wide receivers in his class in a couple of years. I don't even want to talk about when he leaves Auburn, but it's just very, very rare that you see this combination. This combination of size, speed, ability, catch radius, personality, and then work ethic on top of it. You just do not see this at 18 years old. You just don't see it. And I think yesterday that was probably the biggest thing that jumped out to me is, he's a young guy, but he's here to work. And typically you don't see that. And for your older guys to notice that as one of your attributes, I think just sort of, solidifies that. So the hype train for Cam Coleman is out of control right now. It's out of control. It's reckless. You can have, I said a couple of shows ago that it's okay sometimes to have reckless boog. I think it's okay to have reckless boog in regards to Cam Coleman. I think he's going to be primed for a big year. And I don't know how much it may be game one, guys. It legit. He may be a factor early as game one as a factor. People are already talking about he's a cheat code in the EA Sports NCAA football game. He may be a cheat code in real life too. So big time hype building around Cam Coleman. Hugh Freeze tried to start off and sort of calm the flames, but they just obviously roared out of control. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid even more after SEC Media Days. Switching gears, it's always cool to hear confirmation. It's always cool to hear confirmation of when you have sort of an opinion, or you sort of have an idea of how things are the way they are or were the way they were. It's good to hear confirmation sometimes. And I think I got some confirmation of the way some things worked last year, sort of against Auburn, and how poorly of a situation Auburn was in, and how big of an undertaking it was for Hugh Freeze. Peyton Thorne was talking about how he was asked about how comfortable he feels now and whatnot, and the how sort of Hugh Freeze is getting back into that coaching mode. And, he said, this was one of the quotes that Peyton said: as a first-year head coach, I'm sure a lot of people talk about how you're kind of almost like a politician as a head coach. You have to go and talk to donors, talk to all these different people that you probably don't even want to talk to, honestly. You want to coach football. He's been able to do that now, having been a year in. I know he still has a lot of those things to do as a head coach, but being able to meet with him a lot more this year, I've been able to sit and talk with him, seen him outside a bit more. I know he's excited about being a lot more involved in actual football, because I know he loves to coach football. Look, Auburn was in people don't realize how much of shambles Auburn was in from an alignment standpoint, all over the place. We're not just talking about coaching a football team. You're talking about a donor base that is hurt. You got massive buyouts that Auburn keeps coming back asking for. You've had coach turnover. You've had people be split on, hey, we should go this way. Hey, we should go this way. It's probably the most dysfunctional I've seen Auburn in a very, very long time, a very, very long time, maybe ever. This may be this may have been Hugh Freeze took over at possibly one of the darkest points of Auburn football history. So there was a lot of mending. There was a lot of rebuilding trust, rebuilding relationships that had to be done. And I think that, not so much of recruiting, or I don't want to say not so much of recruiting, just as important as recruiting was being that political politician type mindset that you had to have. Hey, you got to go heal. We got to heal. You got to have somebody that can go out there and heal and shake hands and let people know, hey, I get it. I'm here to fix all that. I want to do things the way they're supposed to be doing. I want to talk to the right people. I want to be around the right people. And that is something that has not been done in a while. Gus Malzahn was just not that type. He was not that politician type coach. Brian Harsin sure is, was not that type of coach. So Hugh is had to spend so much time going and building back that realignment to what I think you're at a spot now to where Auburn may be the most aligned that it's ever been. Maybe since all the way back since possibly Pat Dye. I really do. I think Auburn off the field is more aligned than maybe they've ever been. And when I say aligned, I'm not talking about just the fan base. I'm talking about the people that really matter, the people that pay the bills, the people that keep the athletic department, keep everything running. I think it's more aligned maybe now than ever. And that was such a huge responsibility that he felt, but it was so important that he felt, hey, I'm going to have to give off the reins a little bit. And you know what? I said that would be one of my questions. I think that answers my question. That even when the players can sense last year, the players on the team, even players that aren't here as freshmen, they could sense the sort of animosity. They could sense the tension, and Hugh Freeze was having to spend so much time to try to mend those fences that, it took him away from football a little bit. It really did. And now him being back in it, that ought to get you more excited for both on two facets. Excited that, hey, he doesn't have to do that much more anymore because of the alignment. And then B, he's a football coach. And now he's been able to really be the coach part of it, not just the politician part of it. I think that quote sort of was confirmation to me of the need for last year to unfortunately play out the way it did. You wish again, there was some meat left on the bone. You really wish you could get that New Mexico State game back. And then obviously the 4th and 31, stuff like that, if Hugh's completely able to be locked in as a head coach, coaching football in day in, day out in the film room, around the team, day in, day out, that maybe some of those things don't happen. But are we as aligned? Are we on the trajectory that we're on? Is everybody bought in as much as they would be had he not done that? And then recruiting, obviously, on top of that. I'm not 100%. I'm not totally confident that it would be. So that was a little bit of confirmation in that in general. Another thing that sort of was confirmation to me is the cohesion of the offensive staff. I talked about the upgrade. You had the trifecta of Hugh Freeze, Kent Austin, and Derek Nix now sort of running that show, and the upgrade that it was from, unfortunately, Hugh Freeze Carnell Williams and Philip Montgomery. You have three guys that just aren't maybe not all pulling in the same direction. And now you have three guys that basically eat, sleep, drink, live the same terminology, the same everything when it comes to offense. And the players can see that. The players are able to see the cohesion. It feels like it's one message. It feels like it's one thing pulling in one direction, and it's easy to sort of get it down and get behind it because everybody's going in the same direction. So that's another thing from a cohesion standpoint should get you at least a little bit more excited because the players feel it. The players feel it, man. Peyton feels it. It's building his confidence. The chemistry isn't that's in that room just wasn't there last year. As Peyton or Hugh said that he felt that Peyton feels that. He senses that there's a chemistry in the room that he didn't sense last year. And I think it helps build his confidence to be able to, be able to have faith in the system, have faith in the staff, and honestly, probably learn better. It's probably easier to learn the stuff when you have three guys telling you the exact same thing, the exact same way. So the offensive cohesion is huge, and a little the confirmation there as well that it's going to pay massive dividends for the season and the offensive game plan in general. It feels good. So you had two things that I've been preaching that were big deals, just almost 100% confirmed. That Hugh had to spend so much time. I don't think people understand. People don't. It's just easy. I'm playing NCAA football. You just coach. You just coach and you just win. And if you don't win, you're just not doing a good job. So much more to that. There's so much more to coaching, especially in the SEC and at Auburn, and having to rebuild everyone's trust was a huge undertaking. And Hugh had to do it. He had to sort of sacrifice a little bit to be able to rebuild that. And now he's back in the mix. And I think we should be excited about that. I mean, when he's been able to get in there and call plays and get after it, he's been pretty dang successful. He's been pretty good at it. And then obviously the offensive cohesion is just something that's going to, pay huge dividends as well. Last thing I want to talk about, dadgummit, Euguene Asante is my favorite player. Let's just go ahead and call it. How can you not love that guy? How can you listen to him? How can you listen to him and not feel just the electricity that radiates from that guy and how much love he has honestly, for this staff, for Hugh Freeze, and for Auburn in general. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, number one, top button guy. Right off the bat, that puts him way up on the ladder for me. What's funny is as top button as he is, it's kind of a sidebar. As top buttoned up as he is, Peyton is the opposite. Peyton's almost a no button. So, which is, I may have to experiment with that every now and then. So we'll see how that goes. But no, he comes in as a transfer. He's just not getting any, he comes in under Harsin. He's not getting any, really any looks, so much so that they had to have a discussion like, Coach, I'm not even getting any reps in practice. Like, if y'all aren't going to give me a chance, let me just go scout team. Like, let's put me on scout team. That way I can at least get some reps, get and try to get better. And it's crazy to think that that's the way that scenario played out the year before this past season, because when he got a chance on the field, he exploded. 80 plus tackles, 5.5 sacks, probably one of the most electric players on defense, making plays everywhere. He can make plays in the backfield. He can cover. He can do a little bit of everything. And he's one of those undersized linebackers that just plays big. And to see him and the personality that surrounds him, the let's work stuff that he sort of started, the phrase that he sort of gets sort of defines who he is. I'm an undersized linebacker, so I got to work. We come in. I want everybody to have that mindset of being sort of an undersized, chip on your shoulder type guy. We got to come in. We got to work. We got to get after it. I mean, having that guy is invaluable to this team. It's impossible not to love him. It's impossible not to. His personality is just infectious, and I'm so excited for him this year. He's going to be your leader, definitely of the defense, maybe of the whole team. It seems like everybody rallies around him. And it's just the story. I mean, when he was at Auburn, guys, he was calling his coach this is before Hugh Freeze got here. He's calling his coach back at North Carolina and like, hey, man, I don't think this is going to work out. Can I come be a GA? Is there a spot I possibly have to come be a GA? Because I just don't think this football thing is going to work out. I may just not be able to make it. So I want to know if I got a spot there as a coach. If I hang it up, and then turn around and he explodes onto the scene last year, becomes a starter, and now he's leading the charge at SEC Media Days, and he's the team leader. Just, man, what a story. It's impossible not to root for this kid. And I'm so proud that kid represents Auburn. I was so proud to see that guy go up there on stage and represent Auburn. Makes you feel good. It really does. Personalities like that, that's sort of what Auburn's all about. And kind of goes back to what Hugh Freeze has done, is sort of rebuilt that Auburn feeling in general from the ground up almost. So a lot of stuff that you could spend shows on everything, on all their separate press conferences. You could do a whole show on Hugh Freeze, a whole show on Peyton Thorne, a whole show on Keldrick Falk. I didn't even get to Keldrick Falk, and a whole show on Euguene Asante. But I think this is a good breakdown, kind of give you the high points. And then, next week's going to be a big week because you're building up towards Big Cat Weekend. And it's going to be electric. There's the 2026 lineup that's coming. You could possibly have number 1 through 8, or you could possibly have 8 or 9 out of the top 10 in the state of Alabama on campus next Saturday. So many guys are already kind of confirming they're going to be there. We're going to break down that all week because there's going to be new guys coming. And then will Auburn get a quarterback to Big Cat Weekend? I think that's going to be the big thing to watch. Obviously, there's rumors. So-and-so may come. This person may come. Who is it going to be? And when does that news break? I think probably as quick as the dead period sort of ends on the 25th or 26th. You'll probably hear that there's going to be you'll probably hear who that's going to be. It's probably not going to be 2 quarterbacks, probably only 1. But who's that going to be? I can't wait to find out who that's going to be. So y'all have a great weekend. Get your book going this weekend. The Cam Coleman hype train is out of control. Jump on right now. Definitely get out of the way. You need to jump on because it's roaring down the tracks. And it's fun to talk about. So guys, I really appreciate it. If you like this video, like it. If you like this channel, subscribe to it. Get in the comments. Let me know what you thought. What was your favorite part of SEC Media Days? What did I miss? And do you think the Cam Coleman hype train is warranted? And let's just continue to talk about it. I'll respond to almost every single comment. Follow me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. We're going to get after it every single day next week. Y'all have a great weekend. If any news pops over the weekend, keep your head on a swivel. We may be here to talk about it. So again, it's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.